Hello and welcome to my next episode of the Let's Play TFTC Reimagined with developer commentary. Today it's Battle 1 Mission 5, which for me, certainly in the classic version, this was a royal pain in the ass. I died so many times in the classic version of this mission, the original version that is, not the TFTC version. It was, yeah, the first half is fine, but then when they start throwing more X-Wings and A-Wings at you and loads of missiles, it just becomes really difficult to basically not cheat to get past the mission. At least that was my experience that I remember back when I was a kid.
34.
I'm just going to be quiet here just to let the dialogue play for a moment.
As such, we are planning a major operation to eliminate both the Mugari base and the rebel fleet in an effort to single-handedly crush the terrorist and pirate threat in this area for good. The Mugari planetary base is located in a nearby sector close to D-34. The Imperial Star Destroyer Hammer is the only ship we have available that's properly equipped for a planetary assault, so she will be heading out to eradicate the Mugari pirates, leaving us with the task of taking down the rebel fleet. Unwilling to leave D-34 at risk from capture again, the modified frigate Fogger will stay behind to provide defense and security, along with D-34's now restored TIE complements. This leaves the assault on the rebel task force.
So yeah, again, narrative consistency. We've got several assets on play. We've got the Hammer, the Fogger, and we've still got at least one Lancer frigate to deal with that was captured by the rebels. We've located a rebel cruiser in Reimagined. This time it's a pair of rebel cruisers, and I changed the MC-40 like cruiser into an MC-80 reef cruiser because the sheer number of fighters involved in this mission, this needs a bigger carrier basically, and there's also I think a transport. But you know, again, we need to explain why is the Hammer not leading this assault.
Reinforcements are available.
So, as you heard from the dialogue there, I came up with that, okay, we found the Mugari base, it's a planetary base, so we're going to send the Hammer along to deal with that because it's got the resources to do a ground assault. You know, you've got the AT-AT walkers, troops, all that jazz. We still need to defend D-34, but we don't have the Lancer frigates anymore, so the frigate Fogger is the logical choice to stay behind and make sure that there's no further attacks on D-34, at least to provide a strong defense. This then at least allows us to explain why we're doing it in a sort of a mass assault gunboat attack, if you will.
Spearhead an assault on the Mugari base, as only it has the resources necessary.
And yeah, I think it's things like this that help enhance the story, that it makes it feel a bit more real. Okay, so and you understand why things are the way they are, tactically speaking.
Assault on the rebel task force. The attacks will proceed in waves. Assault Gunboat Mew will first go in.
So going back to the difficulty, certainly version 1 of Reimagined, this was too hard, I think, and then 1.1 I balanced it and it became too easy. I can't quite remember, I might be remembering that wrong, but in any case, version 1.2, I think we're in a good place now with this mission. It was very hard to balance this mission. Like all the other missions that I've done so far, this is built upon the original version. This is not a complete great redesign from the ground up, but rather just building on top of what was there initially and just expanding it and changing things, adding more things.
Try and inspect any cargo containers or
but it's otherwise the same mission, just with more going on.
We expect to take heavy losses, but if we can defeat the cruisers...
And there's another narrative thing here I forgot to mention.
Back at D-34.
We don't have access to interdictors yet, so why doesn't the rebel cruiser just jump away? You know, this takes 2 missions to accomplish. We're taking out the fighter complement in mission 5, and then we're destroying the cruiser in mission 6. Why doesn't the cruiser just jump away? The rebels aren't going to stick around and lose a valuable cruiser like this, so... In the mission dialogue here, one of the assault gunboat wings jumps ahead of the rest of you, and it's basically a lightning attack to disable the cruiser's hyperdrive, so they can't jump away. Fixed. Yeah, we don't need an interdictor to stop them. Just a little narrative thing like this, just to indicate that, okay, they can't jump away now. Hyperdrive's disabled. Everyone jump in, let's go. And when you jump in, the battle's already begun because group Mu are already engaging the enemy. You can already see them in the distance there.
Hey, one attacking craft dead ahead.
Enemy starfighters ahead. Let's take them out. This is Assault Gunboat Squadron Mu. The cruiser's hyperdrive.
And there you go, hyperdrive's disabled. And that's a very familiar voice who said that. I wonder who that could be. So yeah, I think this is a pretty fun mission now. There's a lot going on. It starts off pretty easy, but gets off progressively harder because the battle tends to naturally migrate towards the cruisers, which will start firing at you. So whilst you have the initial advantage, the AI just tends to drift closer and closer as they go to target the new waves of fighters, and then suddenly you're in this big furball between two heavily armed cruisers and what's the beginning of the minefield that you deal with in Mission 6. The downside is my system does struggle a bit with this mission, and I think probably for a few other people as well, and this is the downside of the this 22-year-old engine, which unfortunately at the moment, yeah, most of its instructions are routed through a CPU, not a GPU, which means your CPU is just basically doing most of the groundwork here. Doesn't matter how good your graphics card is, if you've got a crappy CPU, you're going to take some lag here.
This is 12. I'm having trouble over here.
But hopefully there's some light on the horizon for that. I've mentioned before in the previous video, the 1.2 release, that community member Jeremy has provided an experimental bit of code that shunts some of the instructions onto the GPU. Blue Max is going to be looking at this and adding it to his code for the DDraw DLL, and we're all kind of really hoping that this is going to be the holy grail of a significant performance increase that will allow us to do more and solve the frame rate issues that Reimagined has, certainly. I mean, Classic doesn't really suffer from this too much because there's so fewer ships in comparison to Reimagined, but in Reimagined I always really wanted to push the engine as far as I could. I wanted bigger battles, I wanted the spectacle, and it's fun to see, but yeah, I'm always locked by the limitations of just how much I can afford to put on the screen without it becoming unplayable, and this one certainly pushes it. I really do enjoy seeing the bulk cruiser firing here. It's a really nice model. It's using yellow lasers instead of red or green, which is fine. I think that just adds a bit more colour. It's a bit different. Bulk cruisers are older, but it's a nice little older battle cruiser. It's doing rapid fire. It looks cool, and also makes it very dangerous.
I've got a starship firing at me. This is Hall. I'm engaged defensive. Got him.
Yeah, this is another addition, that medium transport, like extra supplies for these two ships.
7.
And yes, the Secret Order objective: find the Imperial probes.
Wow.
Good job. Oh, there's the frame rate tanking there. I think part of this is to do with the poly count on the starships here, as well as the sheer number of fighters flying about right now.
This is 10. I'm engaged defensive. Whoa! This is 2. Got some trouble over here.
And there's the Lancer frigate Slicer. Previously an Imperial ship, this now also starts turning the mission against you, especially on hard. On hard difficulties, you're probably going to lose most of your if not all of your wingmates on this mission.
This is Hall.
But yeah, I mean, obviously if you cheat, you could in theory just wipe out the cruisers, except I flagged the cruisers as invincible, so you cannot destroy them. It's a cheap thing to do, but it's the only way to basically explain why Mission 6 happens at all. And as I said, Battle 1's the first battle I reimagined. This is before I started getting more confident with mission editing and combining missions together, or just designing new missions from scratch based on loosely on the original missions. So, I mean, going back, I could have combined Mission 5 and Mission 6 together. So you take care of the starfighter complement and then you destroy the cruisers, but I decided not to go that route. I think it's fine for what it is. But it could have also worked that way as well if it was just combined as a single mission. But yeah, going forward, I do tend to do that a bit more often. I think the first combined mission is in Battle 3. I combined missions 4 and 5 together, I think, or is it? I can't exactly remember. We'll talk about that when we get there.
This is Hall. I'm heavily damaged.
But yeah, that was a case of you know, a mission feeling redundant, or just, you know, it just made better narrative sense considering the extended capabilities of the X-Wing Alliance engine, just to make it a single larger mission to push the story forward without just sort of kind of repeating ourselves.
This is 6. I'm heavily damaged. I'm finished.
And this is a nice thing. This is the first time we're hyperspacing back to a base. This wasn't in the original per se. I mean, you did hyperspace back, but you didn't hyperspace back to your base like this. And this, I think, really helps add in a sense of immersion. And also, you know, we're quite familiar with D34 now and the space around it. This feels like home at this point. You can see the Fogger. You can see there's TIE squadrons on patrol. And I really should look at reorientating the hangar for that one, because you can see there I had a bit of difficulty locating the hangar. That's probably just the angle I approached on.
Good work. With the task force's fighter defense largely destroyed, we can now regroup our forces for a final assault to destroy both rebel cruisers as well as the captured frigate Slicer.
Just as the Emperor suspected, Imperial probes were found among the rebel supplies, and these were not taken from D-34. They could only have come from an Imperial source. An Imperial trader is selling the most sophisticated of Imperial high-tech equipment to the enemy.
Indeed. Well, that was Battle 1 Mission 5. Join me next time for the final mission of Battle 1, where we destroy the Lulsler and its escort ships. And so, until then, good hunting.